So are we supposed to start the podcast?
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Patriots, gay triots, they triots, black triots, and brown triots.
Fuck off! Not to them, to the people that don't support them.
All right, listen up, listener. I've moved to New York City, and this is our first. I've had it. We filmed some iHip news, but this is our first. I've had it with me in the big city. I finally got to escape the Bible Belt after taking care of every single person I could possibly take care of for the last 25 years. And now it's my midlife gap year. I've always wanted to live in a blue state. I always wanted to live around non-evangelical Christians. And today is day one, and it is chef's kiss.
I love it. You seem like 1,000,000 pounds lifted off of you. Just not being around all the MAGA.
It doesn't feel very MAGA up here, which is great. Pumps, what have you had it with?
Okay, what I've had it with, and just let me take a second. I've had it, and I've said it 1,000,000 times, with adults taking babies into adult-only spaces, i.e. movie theaters, restaurants, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to take that one step further. I got my nails done over the weekend. There was a baby in there. That's an adult-only space. There are no babies at a nail salon. The baby starts screaming, crying. And the other women in the nail salon were goo-goo gawing, normalizing this woman. I would even dare say, encouraging her to bring this baby back. Again, I think she should have been heaped with ridicule and shame and dirty looks the entire time. There's no business for a baby to be at a nail salon. And it was like active. So I'm thinking 8 to 10 months. And these women were just like, oh, he's so cute. Da, da, da. And I was like, y'all are part of the problem. So I've had it with other people. And I'm going to say women because there was one man in there with me and we were rolling our eyes and sighing, like looking at each other. But I've had it with women enabling other women to take babies to adult spaces. They should be banned.
I agree. I don't like babies in places, but I remember being a young mother and you have this baby and you're thinking maybe they're going to nap. I remember Josh and I once went to the movie and that we thought for sure the baby was going to sleep through the whole movie. Well, the movie was it was like one of those surround sound things. Of course, the baby started crying and we left. I get where you're coming from. And babies can drive me crazy, but I'm just so focused on MAGA that I can't enjoy a grievance like that. Like that is such a luxury to be irritated at a nail salon at an 8-month, 10-month-old baby. And I'm just so consumed with okay, he's having Texas invade Chicago.
Right.
And I can't enjoy the petty grievances that brought us to start this podcast. And I feel really robbed from that.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. It's hard. I had to really pull myself away from it I've had it outside of the Supreme Court, Mike Johnson protecting pedophiles, the whole laundry list, the whole nine. But yeah, that just really got under my skin. But I completely agree. I mean, we're to the point now that people, when we're driving around when I'm driving my car and I see people driving past me, I'm like, do they know that they live in an authoritarian country? Have they been affected by the fascism yet? Because every single one of us will be affected. But some people, if you don't follow the news cycle and you just, you don't really follow the news, you watch, sitcoms on TV, don't read the paper, they don't feel it yet. They feel higher prices. They feel inflation. They may sense an uptick in racism. But my guess is some people still don't feel it yet. And I think they will.
In suburban Oklahoma City, where you live, there's no way they feel it. These people are not vulnerable. They've never been vulnerable. They live in a gated community. And yeah, they might notice that eggs are higher and they might decide, oh, I don't want to follow the news cycle because they haven't ever had to. Because that's what amazes me about these MAGA people is you have everything you've ever wanted and you're mad about Bad Bunny. Like they are losing their minds. And so when you think of the list of all of the things these people are triggered by, it's like Taylor Swift was one of them. Now we've got Puerto Ricans, Bad Bunny. They seem to not understand that Puerto Rico is a part of the United States. Women, liberal women, gay people, drag queens, trans people, books, Black people, and it goes on and on. It's like a minefield of triggers for these people. I've never seen people pitch such a big fit about the Super Bowl. It's so stupid that they are losing their minds. I was on Twitter earlier, and it's like, Bad Bunny needs to be canceled. We need to boycott the NFL. And I'm just like, just don't fucking watch it. Or maybe do watch it, and maybe it's a lot better than the boring all white person cracker ass band that your ass listens to. But I think the thing is, when you're driving around and you look at those people, they've never been vulnerable a day in their lives. They've never had to experience what so many Americans experience, which created this vacuum for this fascism to take hold. And it's not like, are we on the precipice anymore? We live in a fascist country.
No question. I completely agree. Like we're past, are we there yet? We have arrived. We're parked.
And okay, so let me tell you what I've had it with.
Okay.
I've had it with Zillow. So sometimes I get on Zillow and I like to look at houses in certain neighborhoods or apartments in certain neighborhoods. I want it to be private. It's my thing, right? Like, I don't want any follow-up conversation, but sometimes I'm like, that girl is kind of a bitch. I wonder what the inside of her house looks like. And then you can enter the address in Zillow, and then you can go through the rooms if it's ever been photographed before. And I'll be damned if Zillow doesn't follow up with like 15 to 20 emails. More houses for you. Here's that house you looked at. So I unsubscribe and I go and I'm like, it's one of these unsubscribe options where there's like 100 options.
Right.
But unsubscribe from all Zillow contact. So I go about 2 days and I don't get on Zillow at all. And I've unsubscribed from everything. And then they start it all up again. Zillow is like the biggest freak show stalker on the planet. I'm like, wait, how? I thought I was on Google, like being a nut, looking at the inside of this person's house. And I didn't want you to keep track of that and email me about it later. And that's what they're doing. It's like, you kind of want to be psycho and like, pumps. I wonder what the inside of her house looks like. And probably before you bought it, there were interior pictures of it, right?
Right.
So you can give yourself a little tour. Then Zillow, if the house is on the market, they follow up with you. Here, there's a price drop, blah, 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 or the neighbor's house is for sale. And then it's like, I didn't want any record of this. I was really bored, trying to avoid the news cycle and just looking at some real estate that I have zero interest in buying.
Right.
Why are you documenting this and emailing me about it? This was private. This was a psycho thing I went through in my head. I don't want records of this. I certainly don't want email chains about it.
Okay, wait, a couple follow-up questions. Did you ever enter your email or phone number?
No.
So they just start texting you and
Emailing. They email.
Okay, and why have you not told me that you can do that about other people's houses? I had no idea.
It's the best thing ever. Yeah.
I didn't even know.
Yeah. So say like there's somebody's house, like some girl that thinks she's hot shit or some guy that thinks he's hot shit. You're like, I wonder what the inside of their house looks like. Well, if it's ever been photographed before, it will be on Zillow. And then you can give yourself a little tour of the house. But now Zillow is like
Stalking.
the hall monitor, like tattletale. And I'm just like, wait a minute. I didn't want this shared with the public. Like, this was a private psycho moment that I had, Zillow. I don't need you emailing me about it. I don't need to be reminded that I'm a nosy bitch. All right. I already know that. I don't need an announcement from Zillow in my email box telling me, hey, remember that house you looked at? I'm just like, I do, but you shouldn't.
You shouldn't know.
That was private, Zillow.
That was private. Okay, let me ask you this. Do you think that your information went to like the realtor or the owner?
No.
I mean, is it like the biggest bust on the planet? No.
No, I mean, I don't think so, but I don't trust Zillow as far as I can throw them.
No. Mm-mm. No, I don't
And
either.
they are email terrorists. I'll tell you that much. Sometimes I've looked down, it's 10 from Zillow right in a row. They are out of control. If we lived in a normal democracy,
Right.
I would be like, we need to talk to some people about reining in Zillow. They need this email privacy invasion and stalking needs to be regulated. But of course, we're trying to fight for the 2026 elections.
Right. And are we winning?
All right. Welcome to I've Had It. I'm Jennifer.
I'm Angie, HBIC for Beaver.
Kylie's here. Kylie, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
How is Oklahoma?
It's good. And Jen on Zillow, I can tell you what every single house in my neighborhood looks like. I can tell you what every person I have met once. Yeah. And I've had it email me and be like, hey, are you still interested in 500 Northwest 30th? And I'm like, whoa.
Right?
Yeah.
So you've experienced this, right, Kylie? Have you ever gone to look at somebody's house? Like, she thinks that her shit doesn't stink. So I wonder what her house looks like. Have you ever done that, Kylie?
Absolutely.
Yes. Nobody told me about this.
And then Zillow follows up and tattletales. It's a little narc, a little snitch, a little fucking snitch in your email box. I've had it.
And I have to tell you, my girlfriend is a real estate agent. I'm pretty sure Zillow illegally, I mean, not illegally, but secretly gets your info and it's a lead for the realtor. Like, I think so.
I'm so fucked.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so fucked.
That's like being busted,
Jesus.
like under surveilling somebody's house. That's what we did. People that are like younger than me, they forget that back in the day, we had to do real-time surveillance. It wasn't follow the location on your friends or break into the phone. It was you got your ass in the car, parked 2 blocks down and watched what was coming in and out of your ex's apartment. That's how it was. By the hour.
All right, Kylie, what you got for us?
I've got some reviews today. This first one is 4 stars, titled See You Next Tuesday. And Anita writes, as your sole listener, who you frequently refer to, I have to extend sincere gratitude that you hung on so long waiting for me to find this podcast, as it was within the past month that I found you. #blessed. I have binged over 150 episodes so far. Although I may be closer to Kylie's age, Mima and Jessica have proven to be my algorithm besties, and my God, what a journey this has been. I truly would inject this podcast into my veins. However, I cannot rate you higher than you rate yourselves, hence the 4-star review. Fuck off.
That's so clever.
And I need to tell our new listeners what the Jessica thing is. So Kylie had like voice memos, and this woman was like, I just love this podcast. It's so hilarious. That Pumps and Jessica, just a white woman, Gen X. And so, of course, Kylie and Pumps loved it. And then all the listeners picked up on it. So if you ever see like Jessica and you're like, wait, I thought her name was Jennifer. Right. That's what that's about. Okay, Kylie, who's next?
Okay, this next one is 5 stars, titled America's Top DEI Podcast. And they write, just finished the hottest book of the summer and the it book of the fall. I started listening to I've Had It 2 years ago, and Jen and Pump's witty banter and liberal stance was refreshing in the hellscape that is America. Your book was a beautiful testament to female friendship, heartache, and moving forward. Love you, ladies. Keep fighting the good fight.
Wow, how
That's
lovely.
So nice. And we've actually got 5 stars, unlike our sole listener. Yeah, there's our book.
There's our book. Get it.
You don't need to buy it. Life is a lazy
camera
Susan of shit sandwich. It's right in front of you. Okay. Kylie, I think we have some news stories. Why don't you pop up the first one? Fake nurse arrested after treating 4,486 patients, was even promoted for doing a great job.
This is terrifying. And you hear this, remember that there was a whole documentary about this transplant surgeon.
Yes.
Said that he
did the
had
esophagus
the answers and he was killing people. And it's like, it goes on. This person wasn't even a nurse. But I hate to bring it back to what's going on in the United States, but we have people dressing up as ICE agents and terrorizing other people. And it's just horrifying. The whole thing's horrifying. It's awful. The nurse thing. Ugh.
Okay, next, Kylie. Man steals $122 million from Facebook and Google by sending random bills, which they paid. I think that's pretty clever. I mean, I wonder how he ultimately ended up getting busted. Kylie, do you have any more info on that?
I've got the news story here. It says between 2013 and 2015, Valdis, a Lithuanian national, carried out a sophisticated scam targeting Facebook and Google. He created a fake company and posed as this company as a legitimate supplier to both tech companies. Using forged docs and fake email addresses, he tricked the companies into making multiple large payments. The scheme went undetected for a time, partly due to the company's vast budgets. So it looks like eventually they figured out his scam, but he got away with it for a long time because nobody pays attention.
And they
Here's
just
my
paid the
thing.
bill.
After the first 10 million or so, I would stop. But he just kept doing it and kept doing it. I would just take my 10 million that I scanned right off into the sunset. If it was that, by comparison, that small of a number, I don't think they would have ever noticed.
Yeah, probably at some point there would have been some Zillow CPA that went in there and sniffed it out. There's always some skunk at the garden party sniffing out your little, clandestine activities. And Zillow is the ringleader. Yeah. All right, Kylie, what's next? The internet will be more dead than alive by 2028. Kylie, do you have more to share with us on this? Okay, I do. Half of the internet is already bots. Within 3 years, humans may be the minority online. The dead internet theory suggests bots and AI now create more online content than humans, turning feeds into endless loops of algorithmic junk.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's
I read an article that said that this year will mark the decline of social media.
We can only hope.
There's
Elon. Oh, go ahead.
Elon Musk's X is just full of bots. It's full of so many bots that have whatever propaganda they want to propagandize. And one of them is like, I used to be a Republican and now I'm a Democrat. I used to be a Democrat and now I've switched and I'm a Republican. And it's all used. It's a weapon in this fascist takeover because they breathe off of propaganda. And these bots just provide such quick information delivery of all of the propaganda. So it's really terrorizing. You can see how fast this has happened with Trump. And I think a lot of it has to do with his partners that own all of these social media platforms.
It'll be interesting to see how TikTok goes now that it's completely been taken over by the Israeli government.
Oh, well, I think we all know exactly how that's going to go. It's anything about the facts on the ground that are happening in Gaza is not going to be fed in the algorithm. It's going to be suppressed. It's going to be a lot of Zionist messaging. It's going to be a lot of pro-MAGA messaging because Benjamin Netanyahu has bragged ad nauseum that he can control America. And specifically, Donald Trump's about as easy to control as any leader you've ever seen. Look at the way Vladimir Putin dog walks him.
Yeah, you're right. I was just kind of hoping that the people on TikTok, having been aware of it, would not completely buy it immediately.
I think that's not how this works. I think that propaganda and algorithms and radicalization happen because you have young people that you get on and then you spend time with something. It kind of defies critical thinking. That's why it's so effective. Look at how much Fox News has radicalized conservatives to be full-blown fascists. Yeah. So, and these are some educated people, some of them Supreme Court justices that have been radicalized by Fox News. For us to have an expectation that teenagers or early 20-year-olds are going to be able to sniff out massively manipulative propaganda is just a pipe dream.
Yeah, I think you're right. Sadly.
All right. Well, we have a guest coming up. It's a guest that I'm excited to have on. I was kind of surprised when they reached out and wanted him to come on because I browbeat him all the time. And it's Senator Cory Booker. Excuse me. And so I, of course, want to have him on because I want to talk to him about his APAC donations. I want to talk to him about his adoration and admiration for Benjamin Netanyahu. It's very alarming to me. It's very alarming to me that somebody that stands so clearly for civil rights in the United States of America can deny them to Palestinians. And so I'm eager to talk to him because he's good on a lot of things, but lately he's proven to be somewhat of a just down the line, disappointing corporate Democrat. And so I'm eager to talk to him. I'm hopeful that he is evolving and changing with the times because corporate Democrats, that is not working right now.
No, I completely agree. And I am very impressed that he's coming back on the podcast. And I hope we can have a really frank discussion where we all learn and get more clarity on issues.
Listener, the hot book of the summer. Oops, I have it the wrong way. Take two. Listener, the hot book of the summer is now the cool book of the fall. It is, in Trump's America, I can tell you with absolute certainty, the best book that has ever been written. And believe me, a lot of people are talking about it.
Everybody's talking about it.
Everybody's talking about it. It took us one day to write it.
Because we're
on day one.
Because we took a cognitive test and it was book, write, done.
All right. Anyway, please buy our book. It's a great way to support us. It is a really fun read for the fall. Curl up with your pumpkin spice lattes and just enjoy living the American dream in dipshit Trump's America.
All right, listener, now time for a quick message from today's sponsor, the ASPCA Pet Health Insurance Program. I cannot begin to tell you what an integral part of my life my pets are. My dog's happiness is prioritized over my own. That's why I want to share with you about ASPCA.
This program offers customizable accident and illness plans, making it easier to get your pet the care they need because a pet owner should never have to choose between their pet's health and finances.
You can tailor your plan to fit your budget, your lifestyle, or your pet's particular quirks because big vet bills never show up when it's convenient, do they? Listener, to explore coverage, visit aspcapetinsurance.com/hadit. That's aspcapetinsurance.com/hadit. Eligibility restrictions apply. Visit aspcapetinsurance.com/Amazon terms for more info. This is a paid advertisement. Insurance is underwritten by either Independence American Insurance Company or United States Fire Insurance Company and produced by PTZ Insurance Agency Limited. The ASPCA is not an insurer and is not engaged in the business of insurance. All right, listener, I have a total life hack to tell you. What is softer than cashmere and warmer than wool? It is an alpaca hoodie. And I'm just telling you, as fall rolls around, there's nothing I love more than a soft alpaca hoodie.
The hoodie is built for real life, thermoregulating, odor resistant, which is super important, durable, and made to last.
Each one is handcrafted in Peru by artisans who stitch their name into the tag, a personal signature of quality and care. Over 100,000 people have already picked up the Paca hoodie. What makes it even better? Knowing it's made sustainably and ethically from traceable alpaca fiber while supporting the communities and artisans in Peru who bring it to life. Listener, Pumps and I love this product and you should too. So grab your Paca hoodie and free pair of alpaca crew socks. Head to go.pacaapparel.com/hadit and use our code HADIT. That's go.pacaapparel.com/hadit and be sure to enter the code HADIT. Congratulations on your engagement.
Thank you very, very much. I'm not worthy, but I'm grateful. I'm grateful.
Is this going to be your first wife?
Yeah. She gets mad when I call her my ex-girlfriend. It will be my only wife. I'm such a nerd that I look at and I'm so afraid of, since I was in my 20s, marriage doesn't work out. So I did the research for guys getting married in their 50s. The divorce rate is very low.
I would think so.
Yeah.
I would
guys getting married for their first time in their 50s.
I think so. I think we're much better people. by the time we're in our 50s. And so that makes sense.
Much more. I told people keep saying, "Oh, you waited for the right one," and I go, "No." I said I waited until I became the right one because
Totally.
I wouldn't have wanted to date myself in my 30s.
All right, Senator Booker, what have you had it with?
I've had it with being single. 100%. Being single is not fun, especially when you're trying to date. And as a United States senator, it's been a difficult, challenging time. So I've had it with that, and I'm very psyched that I'm getting married.
When's the wedding?
We're going to do it before the end of the year, quick. We don't want to wait long, and we both want to get married quick, and we're both hoping to have kids at some point, sometime soon. So, there's a lot to do, and time is of the essence.
Well, we want to talk to you about, the country. And it feels like the Democratic opposition is just not getting it. There are votes that you've made that were heartbreaking to me, like the vote for Kushner. That really pissed me off because I feel like this administration, it's not, are they fascist? They are fascist. It's not, we're on the precipice of fascism. We have Pritzker, Texas is sending troops to Illinois. And I feel like the opposition needs to be fuck no across the board. We're not giving you a centimeter. And I think there's been a lot of capitulation. I think there's been a lot of Neville Chamberlain type appeasement from Democratic leadership. And you're one of them that's kind of been disappointing to me because we podcasted before. They're serious about Project 2025. They're going to do all this shit. And they're doing every single bit of it. So what do you think? What do you have to say about the capitulation that you've participated in and where the Democratic Party is right now?
Well, first of all, I would say very pointedly that one of the things I dislike about the Democratic Party is that we do a circular firing squad all the time. Their party, they disagree. There's a wild disagreements in the Republican tent, and yet they don't shoot at each other. And we have a really good way of holding up these purity tests that if I agree with you on 95...
That's such bullshit. That is such bullshit. They fire at each other all the time. Trump has sent so many people out to pasture, so many people that he calls rhinos. Liz Cheney can tell you that they have the firing squad as well. It's not a purity test. It's are we in this fight, and are we being beholden to corporations and corporate interests, or were we really the party of the working class? And that's what I think the message.
Two things I'll say. First of all, if everybody in your coalition agrees with you on everything, your coalition's not big enough. If
it's a cult.
If we don't have disagreements, then we're talking in an echo chamber. Thank God I sit in a caucus with people. I couldn't win in some of my colleague states, perhaps, but we have lots of different agreements, but we are united in the fight against Trump. And I'll say number two, which is really important, is that, we feel the existential urgency. And even though we don't agree on everything, I'm in the trenches with some of the best fighters I have, from veterans like Mark Kelly and Tammy Duckworth, who have, I know Mark's voted on some people I didn't vote for. So we may not be absolutist, but the fighters that I'm in the trench with right now, the sacrifices that they're making for this fight is pretty tremendous. So I have disagreements with a lot of people. Look, I'm one of a handful of people that don't take corporate PAC money. I don't understand my Democratic
What
Party.
about APAC money? You take APAC money, don't you?
A minuscule percentage of my resources come from
I read it's like 800,000.
Yeah, but that's a lifetime number of raising tens of millions of dollars. Let me give you the right stat. The majority of my money comes from small dollar contributions. My last report, I think 76% of it came from people that gave $25 or less. So this to me is about, again, we could pick at each other, or we could do what we need to be doing right now, is joining in a chorus of conviction to condemn it. And again, I'm a child of civil rights activists. You think Malcolm X and Martin Luther King agreed on everything? No. Do you think Fred Shuttle, in fact, Ella Baker had lots of criticisms about King. But when it came to the fight, they joined together and created a movement that was successful. And that's really what my focus is. And as the only person in the caucus that lives in a low-income Black and brown neighborhood below the poverty line. I still remember when some progressives from the suburbs came down to protest me, And they were literally chased away by my neighbors because we are in an urgency. Every day I see it. We are in an urgency where real people are getting hurt. When I go up and down in New Jersey, they don't care about the fact that I took 1% of my money from some group. They care about, what are you doing to restore my health care? What are you doing to fight for my fact that I can't make rent? And in my caucus right now, we're standing up and fighting for those things and not capitulating, as you said, to Donald Trump's attempts to deny 22 million Americans health care, to see healthcare costs double for lots of them.
Well, I think the base feels like right now, and I know that you're in the Beltway, but I think the Democratic base feels like there is a disconnect. Like, we hear you, like when you did your 25-hour speech, I was like, go, Cory. I love this. That is amazing. And then there's a photo shoot with you with Benjamin Netanyahu. And I was just like, what in the actual fuck? Like, how can he do that? It was heartbreaking. I felt betrayed.
Yeah.
And that hang on. And that doesn't just happen in an echo chamber. It's important when there are Democrats like you, where the base, we should make each other better. We need to evolve. And I love that you come on here. We need to have these conversations. It's not a purity test. We want credible messengers, because when we are down the middle and beholden to corporate interests, then we leave this vacuum, and that's how fascism has flourished. And so for myself and a lot of our listeners, when I saw the picture with Benjamin Netanyahu, I felt like it diminished your 25 hours. That's how it felt to me.
So a few things. One is, okay, I work in the Beltway. I live in the Central Ward in Newark, New Jersey. Streets that a lot of folks tell folks, why would you demean and degrade my communities? I keep a little picture here of the first place I represented in 28 years old, which is a Black community that's struggling. And we've transformed our schools, our supermarkets, new parks, urban farms, and the like. And the wonderful thing about those folks that I serve is that none of them question where I stand and how long, for more than a quarter of a century, have I stood with the people in their neighborhoods. Number two, so I may work in the Beltway, but I know where I came from and I know who got me here. And it's the struggling people that our party has done a pretty shitty job for, to be honest with you.
I agree.
Okay, number two, when you say things like Kushner this and whatever, I remember the people who actually, when the Democratic Party was doing things like passing crime bills that put Black people like me, when I was in my 20s and stopped by the police all the time, behind bars, the Democratic Party failed and fueled mass incarceration. And so the people that were there for me 30 years ago, doing prisoner reentry programs, getting people jobs and housing, I'm sorry. People like Kushner, who was there 30 years ago fighting for those fights, I'm not going to forget that they fought for Black people when other people seem to be gung-ho with, hold on, let me finish.
Wait, is this the first CARE Act? What was that act called that you passed?
Well, that was only 2 years ago, the First Step Act.
What was that? Okay, I've read about that. It's really good. Yes, yeah, it's excellent.
And I'm sorry, I have to work across the aisle, and Charlie Kushner was, but for him, it wouldn't have gotten done. So when I go home, people do know people that got out of prison because of the First Step Act, and they knew the bipartisan coalition. Third, I'm sorry, I have real problems with Benjamin Netanyahu. Outrageous things that he's doing. The way you fight for those things is you sit down face to face with somebody and you fight with them. I'm not going to be outside of the room screaming. I want to look him in the eye, like me, Amy Klobuchar, and a whole bunch of other people did, and talk to him about humanitarian aid. And if people want to criticize me for it, then go ahead. But I'm leading in the Senate on West Bank crises right now, from their attempts to annex it or illegal settlements. I lead the legislation to sanction the people that are doing that. I can stand strong on my principles and still work to end these things. And I don't mind taking criticism, from folks that don't necessarily agree with my tactics. But we on this podcast right now, we share the same aim. Ceasefire now, humanitarian aid now, return the hostages now. And I'm going to work.
Do you think he's a war criminal, Benjamin Netanyahu? Do you think he's a war criminal?
Again, these are questions that a lot of people think are the important litmus tests that are loaded and hot. My urgency is to be an effective leader in bringing an end to this crisis. And I get these questions all the time that to me undermine my urgency.
I think the thing that Democrats get so frustrated with, where we are right now, where you see like the Zoran Mamdanis and the Graham Plattners rise up, because they can go on podcasts and you can say, do you think Benjamin Netanyahu is a war criminal? And they just say, yes. And that's the end of it. It's not all of the rhetoric answering. It's like what happens to Democratic politicians, they go through this like prism, and then we can't ever get like the answer to yes or no conversations like you do with Bernie and others. And that's the frustration for the Democratic base with leadership.
Do I think Netanyahu is worse than Trump? Yes. Do I think that we right now in America should be doing everything possible to bring peace, not just to that crisis, but to the ones that shock me that no one talks about? And I hope, and I don't know if you guys have or not, but crises like Sudan, where there are American weapons literally causing horrific, in fact, by double, triple, quadruple, it's the biggest humanitarian crisis that we're not talking about as a country. When I was coming up, everybody was talking about Darfur. Now the moral silence is outrageous when American weapons are being used in that conflict.
And the same with Israel. I mean, our weapons, and even Democratic politicians signed them before they were sent over to kill kids. I really feel like if we get through this fascism, we have to have conversations like this, Senator. I think
but you're right. Where you're right is the Democratic Party. As a Black guy in America, there are so many things we don't talk about that we need to have an honest conversation about. You're right. I work in a place that corruption has been accepted. Why are people taking corporate PAC money? Why are people trading stocks? I hold myself to the standard of what I want to see other elected officials. If I was a guy in Newark that I talk to about that don't believe their politicians stand and fight for them. And so I agree with you that there are real corruptions that we tolerate that we need to do something about. Campaign finance is one of the things. This is why I do not take certain money from everything from oil company C-suite folks to pharma company C-suite folks. These are all things that I believe. But every day that I get up here, I know the people of New Jersey want me to fight for them and their interests. And so when it comes to the fights we're in right now, I'm happy to be in a trench with everybody in my caucus, from Mark Warner all the way to Bernie Sanders, the whole caucus. We are united in a fight right now that I'm hoping, despite the disagreements within the Democratic tent, that we all can unify and say it's outrageous for people's healthcare costs to double their premiums. It's outrageous for 22 million Americans to lose their healthcare. It's outrageous for hospitals to have longer waits at the emergency room because people are going there to get their primary care. I go home every day, as I told you, or at least every week, to my community. And a lot of the things that I often talk about on podcasts like this, they don't give a damn about. They want to know what's going on with my rising costs, what's going on with my loss of health care, what's going on with the poisoning of my communities, because everybody wants to talk about them being an environmentalist, but nobody's talking about the toxic sites that are in communities like mine and community. What's going on with the fact that giving birth in this country is one of the most dangerous jobs you can have, especially for Black women. And so I hear you when I'm down here in the Beltway or get on podcasts. Everybody wants to talk, well, you didn't vote 100% this way. Nobody asks me about that in communities that I'm fighting for in New Jersey. What they want to know is, what are we doing to make the American dream, that I can buy a home, that I can afford health care, that I can afford to pay the groceries or pay for childcare? What are you doing? I spoke to the Teamsters last week. Packed room. Pissed at the Democrats, pissed at the Republicans. By the end of the speech, I had them on their feet applauding because I was saying things that they're not used to Democrats talking about, which is screw all this stuff that talked about up here. What are you doing for me and my family to represent us? I want to get the Democratic Party back to the basics that makes people believe in us again. And first, it is getting rid of corruption. And corruption means that I know my politician isn't bought and paid for, that I know my politician isn't trading stocks on information that I don't have, that I know my politicians aren't playing to somebody else's tune. Second is, what are you doing to make my life economically easier? Because 60% of this country can't afford America anymore, can't afford the American dream. Third, what are we doing for families? Because raising a kid in this country increases your chance of going below the poverty line by over 100% just by having a child, because that's how expensive it is. And again, healthcare, being able to have a child without dying. These are the basics our party wants. People don't want all the bells and whistles. They don't want all the bullshit political talks that we all always get tripped up on. What are you doing for us? And the fight that we're in right now in Washington against Donald Trump, and you and I might agree on a lot of the things, threats to democracy, a lot of these things that we talk about. But when I go home, people are just so pissed off that they can't afford America anymore. And that's what we need to be talking about.
Listeners, sometimes it's so difficult to get ahead in your finances. There's all these headaches. You've got like overdraft fees, a potential missed payment that you totally forgot about, and always wishing that you could save more. That's why I'm so excited to introduce you to Chime. Chime understands that every dollar counts. That's why when you set up direct deposit through Chime, you get access to fee-free features like overdraft coverage, getting paid up to 2 days early with direct deposit, and so much more.
I wish I would have used this as a younger person because it would really start me in being able to be disciplined about finances.
Listener, open a checking account with no monthly fees and no maintenance fees, not to mention access to over 40,000 fee-free ATMs, more than the top 3 national banks combined. Listener, work on your financial goals through Chime today. Open an account in 2 minutes at chime.com/hadit. That's chime.com/hadit. Chime feels like progress.
Chime is a financial technology company, not a bank. Banking services and debit card provided by the Bancorp Bank N.A. or Stride Bank N.A. Members FDIC. Spot me eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply. Timing depends on submission of payment file. Fees apply at out-of-network ATMs. Bank ranking and number of ATMs according to U.S. News and World Report 2023. Chime checking account required.
All right, listener, fall is here and the kids are back in school, vacations are over, and it's time to start the cozy part of the season. And I want to introduce you to Bombas. And I mean this. I have a pair on my feet right now. They are the most comfortable socks on the planet. They also have slippers, tees, and underwear. You cannot go wrong with Bombas.
I love my Sherpa lined Sunday slippers. They're packing friendly. They're fantastic and cozy. I love them.
And the best part, listener, for every item you buy, Bombas donates one to someone experiencing homelessness. Over 150 million items have been donated thanks to customers. And with their happiness guarantee, if you're not 100% into what you got, they'll make it right. No risk, all reward. So listener, head over to bombas.com/hadit and use code HADIT for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/hadit. Code HADIT at checkout. I'm so done with people acting like low sex drive is just a part of aging. Like, oh, you're in your 40s. What did you expect? I expected to still want sex. Thanks.
Exactly. And that's why there's Addyi. It's the first FDA approved little pink pill for certain premenopausal women who are bothered by a low sex drive.
Addyi helps bring back your libido. It helps you feel like yourself again.
Yes, it's real, it's researched, and it's not just part of getting older. It's something you can treat. Go to Addyi.com to learn more. ADDYI.com.
Use coupon code HADIT for a $10 telemed appointment at Addyi.com.
Addyi, or flibanserin, is for premenopausal women with acquired generalized hypoactive sexual desire disorder, HSDD, who have not had problems with low sexual desire in the past, who have had low sexual desire no matter the type of sexual activity, the situation, or the sexual partner. This low sexual desire is troubling to them and is not due to a medical or mental health problem, problems in the relationship, or medicine or other drug use. Addyi is not for use in children, men, or to enhance sexual performance. Your risk of severe low blood pressure and fainting is increased if you drink 1 to 2 standard alcoholic drinks close in time to your Addyi dose. Wait at least 2 hours after drinking before taking Addyi at bedtime. This risk increases if you take certain prescriptions, OTC or herbal medications, or have liver problems, and can happen when you take Addyi without alcohol or other medicines. Do not take if you are allergic to any of Addyi's ingredients. Allergic reaction may include hives, itching, or trouble breathing. Sometimes serious sleepiness can occur. Common side effects include dizziness, nausea, tiredness, difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep, and dry mouth. See full PI and medication guide, including boxed warning, at Addyi.com/PI. Addyi.
ADDYI.com.
Use coupon code HADIT for a $10 telemed appointment at Addyi.com.
Pivoting just a slight bit. I have been so profoundly disappointed with the leadership, like for example, your colleague, Chuck Schumer, let's just take him because you're in the Senate. I feel like every single day, Democratic leadership in the federal government should be out saying Donald Trump has dementia. He's running around calling it the Department of War when it is the Department of Defense. He is lying about inflation. I mean, just every day he's demented. He should be impeached. He's lying. And I am not seeing that. I see sound bites a little bit here and there. And what can we do to break through to the Democratic leadership? We need every single day. And I understand talking about healthcare and women dying. We live in abortion ban America, or I do. And so I understand women are dying. Adversely impacted even from that is Black women. I have seen the research. I'm involved in an organization that we're trying to bring that to the voters. But right now, like, we're fighting fascism. We're fighting military masked in the streets. So why do I feel so disappointed with the federal leadership when I see like Gavin Newsom and, the mayor of Boston, J.B. Pritzker, they're out there fighting every day. And I see a vacuum.
Okay. So I mean, again, I was raised in the civil rights tradition by parents that fought for it. And so these are the things I know. When I was home in January, I got cornered in the supermarket in Newark, one we brought into a food desert. And my folks know me, and they get upset with me. Why aren't you Democrats doing this? And I tell them, well, we're not in the majority. We can't. Why aren't you doing it? Well, we can't call a hearing. And then after going back and forth, this guy who's known me since the 90s, and I had a beautiful afro, said to me, are you an American or Americant? And then he says to me, he goes, where's the guy I voted for, who did a hunger strike for 10 days in the projects and made everybody in New Jersey pay attention and we solved problems? Where's the guy that moved into a mobile home and parked it in the worst drug corners in our city? He started marching through my career over 25 years and saying, this is the guy that I knew that made a way out of no way, didn't wait for leaders, didn't wait for permission, fought the fight. That's why we went back. And I said to Hakeem Jeffries, we need to do an all-day sit-in on the Capitol steps that broke through, had over 100 million impressions. That's why I did 25 hours on the Senate floor, which was to break through. 340 million people liked it on TikTok. What I'm saying to you right now is that I've learned in my life, in all my battles, to end a corrupt machine in New Jersey, to turn around a city nobody said could be turned around, and even right now in this fight, that leadership is not a job, it's not a title or a position, it's action and example. And you say Chuck Schumer this, Chuck Schumer this. I'm telling you right now, most people in my state do not know who Chuck Schumer is.
Right.
They don't. They can't name him. They can't name Hakeem Jeffries. But I try to do things down here that are different, unusual, and that people know. I know my name ID in my state is pretty high. People know I'm fighting for them, and I'm finding creative ways to doing it. But that's not because I'm a senator. When my staff and I sat around and said, what do people know you for? What do they know you? How do they know you about? How do they know what you're fighting every day to try to get done? It's really about, where do you stand in a crisis? And so I hear you guys about Chuck Schumer this, Chuck Schumer this. I do not go back and prosecute a case on Chuck Schumer in New Jersey at all. I prosecute cases for my communities that are desperately hurting right now. And if I spent all my energy on who's the leader of the Senate, as opposed to just being a damn leader myself and finding ways to let my people know what the issues are and fighting for them. Let me be blunt with you. I'm on 20 social media platforms. Just pick one of them. Instagram last time, 50 million views just this last month on the content that we put out there. Most of them are people that follow me in the New Jersey area, because we want people to know what we're about and what we're fighting for. And we find crazy creative ways to break through and let people know. We've championed the issues you're talking about. I've led in the Senate and got a lot done on extending Medicaid and dealing with the maternal mortality crisis. I'm the one that called Biden up and got all the lead pipes in the ground, the funding for those things pulled out. The receipts I'm able to bring back to my communities of real things that we can point to is why I'm here in this Senate. And so I understand the politics, but people aren't concerned about politics. They're concerned about, are you making progress for my community? And that's what this fight is about. We have the leverage right now. We are standing in the right. We are right on the pain point of Americans. And if we do not fight here and fight now, you all know this, that the tsunami that's coming, the 2026 Medicaid changes, the 2026 ACA, this is stuff I don't say, the ACA premiums and subsidies, that's all gobbledygook to most Americans. But we know that if we don't do something come January next year, and then at the end of next year, between the Medicaid and the ACA, it will be a healthcare disaster like this country has never seen, affecting everyone. Because if you don't get your healthcare through the ACA or through Medicaid, and you go to the emergency room when you have a disaster, and now suddenly the emergency room lines are so much longer, everybody is going to be affected. And so I live in urgencies. I'm not trying to pass somebody's period. I am who I am. This is where I stand. I could do no other. I'm raised to stand in my own integrity and to fight in ways that I want to show my constituents nobody's willing to go to the mat as much as I am, whether it's not going to the bathroom for freaking 25 hours, which is hard, or whether it's delivering on things that are not sexy. But when we were able to significantly increase the funding for sickle cell anemia, which is talk about racism, which was a disease that affected more people, but that got less funding than other diseases. People in my community, and happened to be all across America, said, thank God. That's what I'm fighting for. Am I making somebody's life better? And I will stand with you on real corruption, whether it's at the Supreme Court or the crypto president that we have, or even my colleagues in the Democratic Party that still think they have to take money from PepsiCo or whatever corporation you want to do, like Apple. We have work to do. And in this moment, I want to unify people. The three of us, 90% we agree on. Let's put the 10% aside.
I agree.
I would actually say 98 because I listen to you guys and I cheer you in the mornings when I do. 98% of the stuff we agree on. Let's unify, because I know from the old African saying that sticks in a bundle can't be broken. Spider webs united can tie up a lion. We need that kind of strength right now more than ever, because what's at the stake is what I go home to Newark and people are losing their health care and get their health care in hospital emergency rooms or their prenatal care at the time that they're giving birth.
Senator, the bill that you passed for the, I think it was cocaine crack disparity. My husband's a criminal defense lawyer, and he said it's changed. I mean, it's changed so many of his clients' lives. So, and I know that you do really good work. You bring up a really good
data point on that. It immediately, over time, it's been thousands more, but immediately got 2,000 people out of prison. 98% of them were Black and brown. And most people, I'm sorry, they don't understand that we still live in a country where forget me, because I'm a privileged African-American man, but the average Black guy has a 4 times more likely chance of getting arrested for marijuana usage. Still today, there are thousands of marijuana arrests than somebody that's white, and there's no difference in it. We live in this savagely broken criminal justice system that is targeting the most vulnerable people, the people that are addicted that need health care and not prison, the people who are mentally ill who need health care, not prison. It is so savagely unfair, and I'm grateful for your family talking about it.
I think you bring up a really good point that we need to discuss as a party. And you bring up the kind of the leftist wing of the party, and then you on boots on the ground governing. And I agree with you to an extent that sometimes far, far left, it can be, they put you through the meat grinder. They put us through the meat grinder. Last Monday, we were the moderators for Kamala Harris's book tour in Los Angeles. Oh, right. And all the leftists were super mad at us. And when we first started the podcast, all of the conservative women were mad at us because we were liberal. And so I certainly understand that sometimes you feel like you can't. It's like, well, they're pissed at me. They're pissed at me. And I imagine if you're a U.S. senator, everybody's pissed at you. But I will say, now that we've been doing this for 3 years, I do think that the United States, and particularly the Democratic Party, we have to be leaders on this issue with Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu. It's something that there is a big, loud beat in the base that's permeating all across the country. When you have people in Oklahoma that have never been political before start to talk about it. And here's what I'm scared about. And I've been talking to other politicians that have come on the pod about this. You have Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is an anti-Semite. She is a real Jew hater to the core. And she is starting to message now MAGA is not America first, where they've been Israel first. And for rural people and suburban people, when they hear that messaging, it allows a grifter and an opportunist like Marjorie Taylor Greene, for people that don't follow the 24-hour news cycle, to say, yeah, why do they have free healthcare and we don't? Why are we sending them all of these bombs and they're killing kids and we don't? I think in order for us to come together as a party in 2026, it's going to take leadership saying things like Benjamin Netanyahu is a war criminal. We have to stop funding the war. And we've evolved on the issue. And I think it's okay. I think we're all at a place right now where we can accept that we have the leaders that we have. And I agree with you that we agree on 98 out of 100 things. And if we agreed 100 out of 100, we'd be in a cult, would be MAGA. And we're not that. We're always going to disagree on things. And I genuinely hear you when you say people don't know who Chuck Schumer is. You're exactly right. So many Americans do not know who that is at all. We all do, obviously. And I think the economic messaging, but I do think that if the Democrats leave this vacuum there, it's going to get filled by the people in MAGA that are seeing a post-Trump America. And it's super easy messaging with the America First thing. It's just something I want you to think about, because I think it's a political liability for our party right now.
They're calling me for a vote. Let me just say this. So first of all, why aren't people talking about when Obama was using American jets to refuel Saudi planes that were dropping bombs on Yemenis children? Why weren't we yelling and screaming about it? I spoke out against it. But
no, it was bad, but we have to talk about current.
Please let me finish, because they're going to pull me away.
Okay.
Why? And again, I've been fighting for more funding from the Horn of Africa to the Congo to Sudan. Why can't we get people to care in this country enough, where our top podcasts are saying it's wrong that we are implicated in so many things, people dying on the continent of Africa? Why Haiti? Why can't I get top mainstream media people to give a damn about the atrocities there? The International Criminal Court singles out Israel, but not Iran, not Syria, not other folks. I don't understand. I'm with you on the ending of the nightmare and the ceasefire. I'm with you on criticizing the Netanyahu administration, which I think is worse than the Trump administration. But as a guy who is focusing so much of my effort on ending human suffering on the planet Earth, on the biggest humanitarian nightmares, I can't get people with powerful platforms to speak even once about the nightmares that are going on. It drives me nuts. And it makes me feel like I have felt when I was representing Newark, New Jersey, to get people in our country to care enough. Why do I stand out and support people that you and others criticize me for voting for? Because I will never forget when nobody cared about mass incarceration of Black and brown people who stood up for them. Why am I get so angry sometimes about my own party, who seems to be distracted by issues that don't matter, and not to the core of people who cannot afford to pay rent and buy groceries? That's why I've chosen to live where I live. Because every day when I come home, I get snapped back to reality, to people who want me to focus on what matters to them. And so I hear you about what the causes are that are most making headlines. But my entire career, I've cared about the issues that aren't the popular issues, but are the ones that are affecting the most people, that are often forgot about or marginalized. And that's what I want to say with urgency. So you and I are going to agree on the big ticket items, but I want to come back on this show. I beg of you and I'll send them to you beforehand. 3 things that we should be talking about that we're not talking about, that are affecting millions of either Americans or hundreds of millions of people or tens of millions of people on the planet Earth.
Senator, I want to thank you so much for coming on this podcast, because this is the difference between the left and the right. You come on here, we have conversations, we grow, we learn from each other, and it's not like Fox News or the right wings. We disagree and we embrace the disagreement to make a better country. And thank you so much for coming on. We respect all of the work you do, and we're here to fight this fight with you and find compromise and unity where we can.
We are unified, the three of us, and you all are voices that, again, the tradition of Black radio in America, you all know this. It was people like you all that have platforms that would entertain people, that would inform people, that would engage people, but most of all, would help to heal the hurt, to inspire people to act even when they were starting to feel despair. I believe that hope is the active conviction that despair will never have the last word. And you all are speaking up again and again and again, trying to make sure people know that as dark as things are, as challenging as things are, we still have fight, we still have strength, and we still, like my parents said when they marched, we still believe that we shall overcome.
Senator, good luck. Thank you. And please come back on.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, here's my thing.
Okay.
They just cannot criticize Israel. There's really something to that. I mean, it's kind of wild when you're in it, that the deflection, he deflected to Obama. He deflected to other places. It's interesting that he can't just stay in that. I mean, there's a little bit, but it's kind of the deflection involved in not just staying on that subject was wild to me.
Well, I mean, because he didn't say he's a war criminal. He said, I disagree with him. I think he's worse than Trump. So it's like.
Well, just when I brought it up again, he said, nobody's talking about Obama. And it's like, motherfucker hasn't been president in 10 years. And I remember people calling Obama a war criminal. I remember it. He was the drone president. He dropped drones and killed civilians. And I distinctly remember it. And he's right. There's a lot of criticism to be made and an accusation that could be made that Obama was a war criminal. It's interesting that he couldn't call Benjamin Netanyahu a war criminal. He's so good on so many subjects. Truly, like when he made the message
really
about nobody knows who Chuck Schumer is.
He's
brilliant, excellent. The civil rights stuff, the healthcare issues affecting Black women so much more than it does. That's why I think with Cory, with Senator Booker, it hurts me the most because I like him. The stuff that I agree with him on, I really agree, and I think he's an effective, compassionate communicator. Yes. When it gets to, it's kind of like the whole Israel thing. It's like, once you open your eyes up to it, my light just went out. Sorry, guys. Once you open up your eyes to it, it's difficult to
unsee it.
Yeah, it's difficult to unsee it. And we're going to have a disco, you guys. But anyway, and here's the thing. He has a good point that we have to focus on what we agree upon. But I'm trying to tell these certain politicians, you're creating a huge vacuum. The Israel thing is a huge issue right now. We have funded that country. And I want to be crystal clear that I love, support, and respect Jewish people. And I see the criticism of Israel and their leader and their government the same way that I hope that Europeans and other first world countries criticize the United States right now. If people that don't live in this country who aren't American only say, oh, that's great. It's so great that they have Trump. It's so great that they're doing away with democracy. That doesn't help me. So it's not anti-Semitic to speak out against a war criminal that is making Jews less safe worldwide, annihilating Palestinians. And I just wish that the Democratic leadership, if Cory could just go a notch more on this, because I don't think he has any idea what a sticking point this is, how much bigger this issue has become since Kamala's election.
And I completely agree with him on everyday people, like the people we were talking about in the beginning, driving in their car, They're more worried about why can't my child get a job? Why can't I understand that. But just on a macro level, it is so important that we have a line in the sand. Like, we will not support this, full stop. We will not do it. We will not fund it.
It's a layup to say Netanyahu is a war criminal. It's just, there's no question he's a war criminal. He is. Even Israeli human rights groups say it's a genocide. I mean, it's not, some people in Benjamin Netanyahu's government are talking about the real estate development as, yes. And not even to mention that Benjamin Netanyahu funded Hamas so that he could stay in power.
Yes. Right. It's like a Trump situation. He was going to lose his.
But here's the thing I want to say about Cory that I think is important. It's a big difference that he came on here because he knows we're critical of him, and he came on here. So the far leftist listeners, we can't just rip up the politicians that we have and discard them, because if we have him, he is a major senator. He's going to have more and more terms. So when he will come to places and openly communicate with us, then we have to have our disagreements. And then I will invite him back on, because it's going to take a big tent to overcome this. And he answered the questions. I mean, I wish he would cut the crap and tell us, why he won't call him a war criminal, but maybe he'll get there. Right, Pumps?
Right. I just want to say this. When he said they're calling me for a vote, I wanted to say, the government shut down. But you know what? I respect it, because we gave him, he said, you can have this much time, and we went over. I'm all in on it. But yeah, I just thought that was funny that the government shut down. But
he's a very likable person, but I see what the far leftists, I see what they see now.
Sure.
That there are certain politicians who are seduced, beholden, completely, I don't know if they're propagandized themselves or being paid off or what the deal is, but there is a lack of moral clarity and a lot of deflection. The fact that he was bringing up Obama, which is a very valid thing, but we weren't talking about Obama. We're talking about currently right now, Benjamin Netanyahu bombing the shit out of everybody all the time. Like, that's who we're talking about.
And we're paying for it.
And then he said the ICC just to single him out. And I'm just like, that's kind of Israeli propaganda right there.
I will definitely have him back on to talk about the things that we're not talking about, the human rights, atrocities. I think that's important. You know what?
It is important, but his point in doing that is to not talk about Israel. Yeah.
Right.
That's the 100% point. I will have him back on, but each and every time I will continue to talk about the billions and billions and billions of dollars that hardworking Americans pay in their taxes that go to kill Palestinians. And that needs to be spoken about all of the time, because there's a direct link of bipartisanship support for that.
Right.
And Israelis have free healthcare, and I'm glad they do. I'm glad they live in a country where they have free healthcare. I'm glad that they have free higher education. I don't besmirch that. But there's a problem when I drive through these rural Oklahoman towns and I see the way these people live, and they have all these Trump flags and they're paying taxes and all of this stuff. And I don't think they realize what's happening. I don't think they realize how corrupt the whole Israeli government is and how corrupt our government is to continue to fund it. All right, Pumps. I think that's all we can do. I've lost my light, and
you still look gorgeous, though. You really do.
Thank you, Pumps. Thank you,
And
Pumps.
we will see you next Tuesday and Thursday. Don't forget, we have our book. Buy it, download it. See you next Tuesday and Thursday.
I'll tell you what I've had it with. Let's hear it. I've had it with that.
Listen up, patriots, gaytriots, and natriots. We have a new podcast that has dropped. It's called iHip News. It's Monday through Friday, every day, 15 to 20-minute hot takes on the political landscape of the United States of America, always served with a side of petty grievances.
We are on all the available platforms, Apple, Spotify, Google, whatever you get your podcasts, and YouTube.
Please go rate, subscribe, and review so that we will chart upwards with America's greatest legal mind. Pumps, what does an eagle say?
Caw-caw.
A little bit more enthusiasm.
Caw-caw.
That's it. That's
caw-caw.
That's the patriotism that this country needs right there.